The Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, is set to file a lawsuit against U.S. President Donald Trump's anti-immigration executive order. The lawsuit is aimed at challenging the constitutionality of the president's presidential order, which the Council says clearly targets Muslims. CAIR says the American Muslim community has long been subjected to discriminatory policies of the U.S. government. The American Civil Liberties Union also called Trump's action a euphemism for discrimination against Muslims. It said the executive order targeting people of particular religions is against constitutional principles. Democrats have also blasted Trump's move, calling it discriminatory. The Senate Minority Leader accused the new U.S. president of stomping upon a grand tradition under which immigrants have been welcomed since America's foundation. Chuck Schumer called the ban the most backward and nasty order that the president has issued. Schumer added that taking in immigrants and refugees is not only humanitarian, but helps boost the American economy. Arzu Morali from the Islamic Human Rights Commission joins us from London. So, the CAIR is going out, obviously, and they've filed this lawsuit, and that's a good thing. But when we look at the bigger picture, it seems like these countries are being targeted unfairly, and given that they're mostly Muslim majority. When you look at the crimes that happen in the United States, I think the majority are done by Americans. I don't think Muslims rank anywhere close to the top when you compare it to the number of deaths that are happening there in the U.S.
I think this is the key issue that is being overlooked, because what we have with Trump is actually not anything particularly different to previous presidents. I have some sympathy with some of your contributors earlier in this bulletin. But what you have is, if you like, a kind of honest face of America making outrageous statements and outrageous policies that have nothing to do with natural justice. And ultimately, as you said, the vast majority of criminality that takes place in the United States is in the United States. It's nothing to do with immigrants. And in fact, as with pretty much all developed countries, immigration is a huge boon to the economy. And yet politicians ultimately will always scapegoat the weakest in societies, and those who don't have status, those who are even legal immigrants, will not have the same status, and they're easy to blame for society's ills.
And I'm sure Trump has been advised by doing so, it may actually have a backlash. And I'm hypothetically speaking here, that maybe people will then be prone, people meaning immigrants, to act upon this sentiment that is being relayed by Trump. Do you think that that's a possibility? I mean, to be targeted unfairly obviously brings consequences.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this argument. I mean, it's been used in the United Kingdom a lot, that if you keep targeting Muslims, then ultimately they will fulfill this negative expectation that you have of them and become violent. I'm not sure there's such a clear connection. The bottom line is the vast majority, 99.999, etc%, will not react violently. They will, however, experience serious negative effects, whether that's increased racism from other quote-unquote Americans. It will be, huge mental, social, and other pressures, and it will also, ultimately squeeze them out of the job market. Not in the sense that they will no longer be able to do jobs, because America, like other developed countries, wants very low-paid workers, and ultimately it's the immigrants, legal or not, who will do those jobs that people won't, who are quote-unquote American. Ultimately, those people are going to suffer extraordinarily and still be kind of fulfilling a function of keeping the society going, and at the same time also be the subject of a way of talking that keeps the majority of Americans off the actual problems that are in America, that are actually part of the Constitution of America. And it's all good that CAIR is bringing a case, but the claim that actually these policies are somehow against the Constitution, to be honest, if we're having an honest conversation, this type of discrimination is part of the foundation of America. It's the immigrant, quote-unquote, legal, illegal people who are going to be suffering at the rough end, Muslims and Black people in particular, Latino people in America, who are all bundled up in this negative discourse, who are going to be feeling acts of violence from other communities, as well as the huge acts of violence of the American state, whether that's surveillance, whether that's police killings, whether that's unlawful detention without trial. Let's not forget that it's not Trump but Obama who brought in the laws that mean that you can now be detained without trial, even if you're an American citizen, and essentially Guantanamized on the mainland of the United States.
Good point there. Thank you. Arzu Morali from the Islamic Human Rights Commission from London. Thanks.